Greetings, dear listener. Welcome to our humble podcast. Here we will lead you to tales of the past, tales of the future, and tales of now. Tales of other realms, from within and without. Yes, indeed. Some tales complete, others a mere glimpse into larger worlds. Tales from the depths of our mind, tales inspired by the world around. Some happy, some sad, and some, well, dear listener, you'll have to make up your own mind. Welcome to Friday's Fantasy. End. There he is, a frail old man now, wispy hair clinging to his head, lying there, barely breathing. He wants to live still. I see that in him, that throb of life. It comes and goes, waxing and waning as he directs the last of his strength to the most vital of functions. I am old now too, and I lean on my stick, supporting a new hip, another part of me artificial, but I'm still alive. His eyes snap open. I can see the milk-rimmed orbs searching around for me. I'm here, Father. Good, good, he croaks out, but the effort is great, and he closes his eyes again for a moment. I have something to say. You always have something to say. He looks at me sharply, the endless battle between us its own power. Yes, I do. Do you listen? No. I always listen, Father, I say patiently. You don't always do what I say. The energy is gone, and he closes his eyes again. His breathing slows, and I reach down for his hand, concerned. When I'm 6 inches away, he withdraws it abruptly, and then reaches for me. Very sensitive now, son. I know, Father. It's the first time anyone has touched him in 14 years. Even the bedsheets hover a millimetre from his parchment-like skin. They all came, you know, son. I know, Father. And they had. He was already 90-something years when he came into the power, half-blind, always in pain. His answer was to work and to meditate, but it was not something that he would admit to. He would claim he was concentrating something. This focus, I came to call it. It was something that he'd been seeking for a long time, and finally, when my brother and I moved into a new house and helped him organise his life into rooms, he left one blank, just a think carpet and nothing else. What's it for, Dad? I'd asked. One of the grandchildren, I forget which, was with me. It is a room in which to be, he'd said, using his most imperious tone. Be, said grandchild, running about the room. That's right, he said, smiling. To be. He spent a lot of time in that room. Sometimes he put things in it. A pebble, a laptop, never on, probably broken. Lego, strewn across the floor like a challenge. Drawings of the family, crude and never completed. Mostly, though, it was just him and his chair, whatever was most comfortable at the time. Eventually he took the door off, but none of us were ever allowed in. I think, looking back, it was his first true interdiction. He never said, but even the great-great-grandchildren would not enter unless he specifically beckoned them. The carpet never became marked in any way, and he vacuumed it for half an hour without fail. You're drifting, son. I returned to the moment as he had taught me. I did not understand the value of his lessons until late in life. Have you been doing your exercises? This is the eternal question. Yes, Father, I practice every day now. He releases my hand. Good, good. His energy wanes for a moment, and I wait, knowing that something more is to come. I see his pulse slow in his throat, until I am counting on the fingers of one hand, and the minute is up before the little finger is extended behind my back. His pulse becomes more rapid. That is to say, he doesn't just die in front of my eyes right at this moment. You get too worried. I am worried, Father. How's your mother? Still enjoying eternal youth, is she? She's fine. She's more than fine. Whatever Father's secret is, she discovered long after they had parted, and took to herself the story he told my brother. She's on the cover of Vogue again. Most glamorous great-great-grandmother. It was a swimsuit issue. I'm still seeing a therapist about it. Yes, she's fine. You taught her well. Finally. Be nice, Father. His eyes are closed, but he says, Still a cheeky bugger, I see. How's that bridge? It's his eternal joke, that I've always got an answer, that I should be waiting for the 3 billy goats, and I live under a bridge now, so he's still laughing about it long after it ceased to be funny, which was, frankly, about the time I had that goat problem on my roof. It's fine now, Father. Still hilarious. Yes, Father. You know I'm still going to be around, right? So you have maintained, but I do not see how it can be possible. You taught me to be a scientist, Father. I will not apologize for it. He rises up in the bed. I realize that I've absorbed enough of him to believe he is doing this by force of will alone, but then he releases the button. The world might be a place for the other one to stand, but your force of will is far greater. Do not waste it. I did discover how to control the weather, you know, Father. But the battle is joined. I'm not talking about all that saving the planet shit. You were always going to do that, son. Good plaudit, Dad. You know what I mean. You could have gotten us off the planet again. By mystical means. It's true, I could, but it wouldn't be ethical. I haven't got time for that sort of thing, not anymore. We're okay, Father. We're not. This assertion leaves him weak again. I wait a while, sitting my ancient feeling frame on the chair by the bed. My beloved wife looks in, and I shake my head. She is holding a grandchild, and they wave through the window. It's only now that I noticed that whatever child I had with me is gone. He always absorbs me that much. I've never been able to keep up, even as I see his shortcomings. I don't know why. I feel sometimes as if I could know why. It would open up what he is talking about half the time. I don't think anyone's understood him for years. There's always time, you know. I know, Father, if we can fold it right. It's our perceptions that are awry. Even with instruments and mathematics, we can only see what we can see, perceive what our minds will let us. This is an old mantra, much often repeated, until it is as an aphorism, and much meaning is lost from it. I fear that he is stuck with it, a stutter, and the meaning of it will come in the distant future, even if it seems a simple thing to say. I know, Father, but glimpses don't help us. We need to see properly. And take the clouds off from around your minds. You always say that. Because I always mean it. I can see his pulse beating a lot harder in his throat now, and I know he is counting. Soon. I nod, unable to deal with it. As much preparation as he has tried to give us, I'm not ready, and I cannot be ready. You must uncloak, son. You're the secret weapon. You've said this before, Dad. I'm just a human being. There's so much more. I can't do what you do, Dad. You can't do what you do. He breaks physics. Somehow he breaks physics, and they all came to see him, and he couldn't explain it to their satisfaction, so they generated a sort of not of this world field around him and left him alone. He gathered a following, mostly young women, so he's been happy. He said a couple of them have shown promise, but sometimes I think what they have shown is a nice cleavage. That's cheap, son. We talked about this, Father. Private thoughts. Even about me. Especially. It's been very difficult in the last few years, especially as his mind seems to wander without restriction, and you can't be sure it's not wandering through yours. It was lonely before, when he could only hear her. I know, Dad, but you're not very disciplined these days. Why should I? Because we all have a dark side? You're all too uptight. Maybe we value our privacy. He gestures at the window. My wife has brought another child to see the old man. He beckons her in, but she shakes her head. She especially hates it when you do it to her. I haven't done it in years. You asked. I know, Dad, but she doesn't. You seem pretty prescient these days. I've been observing human behaviour a long time, son. You get to know a thing or two. Yes, true, but you could tone it down a bit. He gestures to his heart. It'll be toned down all the way soon, son. That's not funny. I wasn't being funny. There is a silence a moment. He looks away, but I can see his face creasing up in frustration. He takes a second, then relaxes. I love you, son, he says, simply, turning back to face me. I love you too, Dad. You've always been a good dad. I haven't really, but thanks, son. It means everything to me. I know. I wish I was at home. I'm sorry. I can feel the tears welling up, and I take a handkerchief from my pocket and blow my nose. I know. He's coming. I look around. I can feel a sense of his presence occluding the others. He stops to greet each and every one of them, absorbing them into his world and carrying them like a tide. Their thoughts and emotions follow him down the corridor, and at last he is here, looking concerned at the porthole window in the door. Incongruously, he knocks. I beckon him, and we brothers hug tightly. Dad, he says, but he's already too choked up to continue. Calm yourself, son. I need you to be within yourself now. It is an effort of will for him to draw himself within the confines of his own body. It is interesting to watch because he has never subscribed to our father's disciplines, in fact any kind of discipline as far as I can see, but draws himself in with the power of his mind alone. In this he is truly our father's son. He has that talent in the raw that I feel I must work for. Father says it's never been like that, really. He says I'm my brother's last mystery. It's soon now. I need you both. I don't understand, Father, I say, but my brother simply takes his hand on the other side of the bed and bows his head. I cannot tell what he is doing, praying or weeping, but he is still and silent as I have never seen him. I realize that I am lost in my thoughts and I am probably not doing what I am supposed to be doing. Like this, son, his voice is in my mind. He takes me to a place of darkness, and I see again just the candle and the flame. The flame has all the complexity of life, he says. While it is a light, I can be with you. I don't understand, Father. Where will you be? With us in the flame, says my brother. Don't let it go out. It's that simple. All right. I take a leap of faith. I resolve that this flame will not leave me. Finally, my son. I open my eyes. The flame is still there. His pulse beats once, and then still. The inspiration for this story were Dominic and Sabrina, my children, although many aspects have been changed to reflect the story and not the actuality of their lives. I'm very grateful for their wisdom and faith. They have grown up to be remarkable people, and I am proud of them. I cannot leave this tale without mentioning my other children, Ivy, Jamie and Hazel, of whom no less can be said. I'm proud of you all. You all take my love with you. The music for this episode was by Jazar from betterwithmusic.com, released under Creative Commons Share-alike license. The story was by Friday Jones, read by me, Friday. Critical feedback and support was provided by Hayley Hattle. This has been a podcast of Friday's Fantasies, Stories by Friday, and forthcoming, a serial. Find the podcast wherever you listen to yours.